You guys, I need your help. There's something very broken in my world. I don't know what happened, but all my doors now lead to random places. Boom. You're somewhere else. This doesn't even make sense. I was thousands of blocks away, and now here I am at the space base. And then look, you open shut it, everything's fine. But somehow it knows that I'm actually about to go through the door, and boom, here you are, somewhere else again. I can't figure it out. I open them, I shut them. I open them, I shut them. I've tried everything. Placing them backwards, placing them upside down. You break the door, you come inside, you replace it. It doesn't matter. The door just knows. It just knows that this isn't where I'm supposed to be. Look, everything's fine. I'm gonna go through the door this time. You ready? And boom, what the? Why is there even a door here? Hey, how's it going? Welcome back to ForeverCraft. And today, we're heading back to outer space. Well, I think the skin change may break that transition, but it was still fun to do. And hopefully it turns out all right. But yes, we are back on Site 17, our outworldly outpost supplying hydrogen fuel to the space station. And we've got a need to fill. You see, last episode, I really undersold how terrible it really was to get all that honey. I probably sat over there at our starter base for at least like an hour just manually clicking beehives every so often while I watched some YouTube videos. So we're gonna fix that, and we're gonna get a permanent honey farm in the world. And I've been wanting to build a greenhouse in this area for a long time now anyway, and it's just like the perfect combination. We're gonna have a cool greenhouse on another planet. We'll have this nice contrast of all the green lushness inside the greenhouse to the stony, desolate backdrop of the planet we've built here on Site 17. I've got some other stuff I want to get dotted around the base as well. We've got more mechs designed like this one. Some chonky boys that can kind of, complement this one. I also think iron golems running around here could be interesting. We kind of made our mechs copper based, so the so the copper golems could really match our aesthetic for these guys, and could add some more life to this area. We are going to need, unfortunately for this build, a lot of waxed copper, which is, what this build supplies. So I think what we'll end up doing is building most of this greenhouse, and then we'll just end up waxing most of that copper with the honey that we get from the farm, if that makes sense. I've been thinking about this build since I first made this area, because I really do think having that like bright green trees and like flowers and stuff is going to contrast so cool in this area and really help fill up this space over here by the portal as well. And then the other mechs will dot around this whole area. But first things first, I'm going to raid what's left of this trial chamber for all its copper. We've already done some decent tearing out of this thing, but there's still some more copper left to get. I don't know if I've showed this yet, but this is how I farm my breeze rods. Kind of a neat little trick. If you build a box like this and then just do slabs right here, they are forced to spawn in here because it can only spawn where that little spawner can see. And since they can't see out here, they always spawn in the box and you just slice them. You could do collection hoppers and stuff, but I got a little lazy with this one and we just break the block. Don't worry about it. We'll do something fancier in the future, probably. All right, let's start stripping this thing for all the copper that's left. As you can see, I've been here before, but there's a lot more rooms with a lot more copper, so let's get to work. Alright, material 1 gathered. We have all the copper we could possibly need for this build. Step number 2, gonna be the glass. I probably only need about 2 shulkers of glass because we already have a pretty good stockpile back at the smeltery, and then ink sacks. Unfortunately, Play-Doh has a wither farm that is not working right now, so we're gonna have to get black dye the old-fashioned way and go harvest some squids. But it's always fun flying around to the rivers and, grabbing some ink sacks here and there. That's not too bad, and glass isn't too bad. I think these are gonna go pretty quick. We'll do those together. And once we have all that, that's pretty much it. I think we need a couple like acacia doors, some other small detail blocks, but this is the majority of the build, believe it or not. It's a greenhouse, so it's a lot of glass, right? All right, let's go get this glass and get these ink sacks, and then we're gonna start building. Alrighty, we have all of the materials collected with a few exceptions. We have all of the copper items. They are just not all necessarily aged to the proper degree, and I just don't have the patience to wait for all that. We technically have all the copper pieces, we have all the glass, and we have all the ink sacks because we needed the ink sacks to dye the glass. It's a whole thing anyway. All of the stuff to get the actual structure built is ready to go. I even spent a little time over there AFK near the bees to get all the honeycombs for the bee farm itself, which is going to go inside of the greenhouse. I have a little bit of terraforming to do here to get a nice platform for the actual structure itself and to make the walkways and stuff make sense in this area. And then we're going to start building. Let's get to work. Alright, I thought I would do a little check-in and give you a sneak peek kind of behind the curtain of what the design process looked like. I knew that I wanted this thing to be a glass dome. So like, think like a snow globe, but on the moon, right? And then I knew I had to fit a honey farm in here and then obviously just have space for like decorative stuff and cool things like that. I like the idea of being able to flow through it as well. This is kind of like a good path to the portal. So having a doorway on both sides would be nice. And I also thought instead of making like one big bee farm, let's just make 2 honey farms and put them on opposite sides. So these are like fun tunnels that are going to connect up to our honey farms. And then this is kind of the main walkway with some decorations and stuff in the middle here. Still a lot of work left to do, but I just thought it'd be kind of cool to take a look at how this looks in the space. I just think this is going to be such a cool thing, especially once we get some greenery inside of this dome. It's going to really like pop in this whole area because it's going to be the only bright green thing in the area. But all right, all the glass is placed. It's time to start putting down some of this copper, and then we'll put some life inside of this dome. Get back to work. Alright, the frame is up, and we're almost ready for the finishing touches. Like I mentioned earlier, I didn't exactly let all of the copper age to what it needed to be. Some copper items you can craft right into their weathered piece if you already have like a weathered piece of copper. But for trap doors and bars and the copper rods, you have to craft them with copper ingots, which means you always get the totally unweathered version and then have to wait for it to go over time. So the whole idea is for the whole thing to be this darker green. I kind of like a little bit of this being only somewhat weathered as opposed to like fully weathered. But for now, I'm going to get it all weathered, and then I'll kind of, you know, here and there, once we get the honey farm actually functioning in here, I'll come back through and unweather some of this, and then we can wax it. I just got to hang out in this area long enough for the rest of this to oxidize. But while we're waiting for that, let's put the final touches on this thing and get some nice lush greenery and a couple honey farms in here. And here it is, our greenhouse on Site 17. Finally got this thing finished. A couple things fought me that I was not expecting. Getting the bees in here, it was moments from the sun coming up and all of the bees coming out of these hives before I got the glass in. I knew I had to install the beehives at nighttime, but I should have planned accordingly because I realized after I put all the beehives in that I hadn't put any flowers in and didn't have any on me, so I was bone mealing frantically, trying to get these bees in here, but we got it done. There's a lot of bees in each of these. I could breed them up. I don't think each of these hives is full on this side. As you can see, there's a lot less activity on one side versus the other. So I may come in through here and breed these up, but honestly, we have so many, it's really not gonna matter. The last thing I have to do is put in an activation switch, which is 1, 2, 3, 4 blocks. 1, 2, 3, 4. This should be the repeaters, and this should be the redstone. So I believe hitting that will activate this, and then we need to put a lot more shears in here. So let's just fill our inventory. Whoops, I wasn't thinking about that. Let's put this button over here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right there. And then we get to put at least one shear in each of these. I put these chests on the top here just for more convenient shear loading. But again, unless we have a future project that uses an absolute ridiculous amount of honey, I think we're gonna get more than we'll ever want out of this farm. But it's gonna be nice that it exists in our world, and we're gonna have this thing on tap whenever we need it. All right, it's all loaded up. I think they're all full, so the observers can't see them get full, which is why we put this little button here. Look at that, they all sheared. They're all empty. So now whenever a bee fills up their like box, the observer will see it fill up, it'll send a redstone pulse, and it'll activate any of the shears on the ones that can be sheared. And then all of that honey should get spat out to a chest on this end, right here, which is kind of hard to activate because of this grass. Maybe we'll break this grass. Yeah, that makes sense. So then there you go, there's your honey. All right, this one's not gonna have any. Are any of these full? Okay, yeah, these are filling up pretty quick, actually, even with limited bees. Let's go activate this one to get the chain rolling. Just like that. And again, we're not going to have as much on this side, but that'll work for now. I believe this was a ForeverCraft design. I changed out pretty much all of the blocks, but the kind of method was at least from the ForeverCraft video. All right, I went with standard oak trees in here. I would like to come back eventually and design a tree for the center of this. I feel like we could do like a really cool big tree in the middle. That could be a nice statement piece in here, but honestly, I'm out of time on this video. I have got to get this thing edited. I still got a lot of work to do in the video to actually get it out to you, so maybe in the future we'll come back here and do a cool decorated tree. But for now, it's just your standard oak tree. I grew it until I got a tall one, and I added these little sprouts so that we could put lanterns under each of the trees. We've got some firefly bushes and some flowers around here. I'd like to do a little bit more work on the flowers as well. I think we could get some cooler variety, get some blues in here. We have like no blue flowers, I think. I think the end rods work well for a greenhouse because they kind of give that like glow light feel, so it just makes sense in this area. And then yeah, you're in here, you feel like you're like in a little jungle, the birds are chirping, and then you look out through the glass and you see the space. It looks really cool at nighttime as well. Obviously all this stuff kind of shines at that point. I put in these like dry lock looking entrances. Obviously we've kind of established that they can breathe here on Site 17, but it makes sense that you'd want the nice rich air of the greenhouse trapped in pretty well. And I didn't want to do a double airlock because then this thing was going to be like a super long. At first I thought it'd be like cool to be like a decontamination chamber or something, but I ended up scrapping that in order to keep the thing kind of reasonably sized. But yeah, I love it. A nice little pop of life here on Site 17, and all of the honey that we could ever ask for in our world. But that's all we have time for today in this episode. If you made it this far, I appreciate you. Thanks for sticking around. Have a good one.